central bank digital currencies, I think, are a distraction. What is actually happening is you've already got capital controls in the United States. It's hard for a US citizen to move the money around. You can't even get rid of your damn passport. You're stuck in your state. You can't even leave your state. You pay tax everywhere in the world. Nobody else does. I think there's 3 countries in the world that pay tax, that force their citizens to pay tax if they live outside of their country.
Is the CBDC really just a distraction for something bigger? I mean, if you do think about it, the United States is one of the only countries in the world that if you live outside the U.S. in a different country and you're a U.S. citizen, you still have to pay taxes to the United States. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Crypto family, Aaron here coming back at you with another one today. We got a different type of video. We have Raoul talking about CBDCs, what his thoughts are on them, and how he believes that they're not actually all as bad as they've been hyped up to be. Now, the Bitcoin bros don't 100% agree with Raoul on this one, but it's definitely good to see different perspectives, different opinions in the financial markets. So wanted to share this one with you guys here today. It's very interesting, and he thinks the CBDC is actually just a distraction for something that's a lot bigger. So you want to make sure to stay tuned to the end of this one. This is a recent interview that Raoul did, and I thought he made some pretty interesting points here. So let's go ahead and check it out.
I do not buy the argument that, well, they've got control over your money if you do this. You're signing over to the devil. I'm like, you guys signed over to the devil by having a bank account. All of your funds are available. And if you're telling me, oh, well, they're going to force us not to use cash, and you're telling me you're using cash for anything apart from tipping the valet guy at the restaurant and buying weed, you're lying. Nobody uses cash. Nobody uses cash. So nobody uses cash. So it's a lie. And so they're using their credit cards. They're using their PayPal or their Venmo. They're then on social media. They've got Google. Everything is accessible by the government. That your privacy was the story 30 years ago, not today. Maybe it's gone. So a CBDC means that the government can become more, well, they can even stop money now. You've seen it. You know, you're the Russian, suddenly you don't have the money, right? So all of that is always still there now. So yes, they can penalize you, but I also think you can do good with it. So I think there's a load of bad outcomes and governments will abuse it. Fact. I also think there's some really amazing outcomes for economics. So let's say you have Hurricane Katrina. Devastating. People aren't insured. It's a catastrophe. So how it happens now is the federal government makes a payment to Louisiana and blah, blah, blah. And there's all these middlemen and everybody grabs its stuff and it doesn't get to the people. You could give 3 million people in New Orleans instant payment in seconds. You cannot give economic stimulus to wealthy people. You can give it to poor people. You can penalize people who have excess savings versus the people who don't have enough savings. So i.e., you can give poorer people a 15% interest rate to lend at, i.e., to get on deposit. Okay, that's interesting. And maybe they can borrow money at one price versus another. You can do a lot of behavioral economics and changing the system. And behavioral economics, everyone's like, well, that's the Chinese government. They've got spy cameras everywhere. I mean, look, the US government knows everything what you do. I mean, every time I come into the country, I just stare at the global entry, recognizes my face. I don't even show my passport to anybody. I'm into the country. I'm then into an Uber. Everyone knows where I'm going. My Apple Maps clocks me. I mean, look, forget about it. All the governments are the same. So I just think, economically speaking, we could do interesting things. We don't have to be so Luddite about how we use fiscal stimulus, and that we can create.
We can create
incentives, good incentives, if dealt with well. Governments stand for. We stand for freedom. We stand for that. It's all a meme. They're all the same. They all control their people in a certain way and dress it up in a different manner. One says we're protecting you. The one says the enemy's outside. The others, they're all the same. How do you hold a society of large numbers of people together, you create different ways of doing it. And it pisses me off when people say, us good, them bad. By whose judgment? What, because 1.4 billion people in China live their life differently than the 350 million Americans? They're bad, we're good because they don't follow our system. That's insanity. And Americans would suggest that they're pressed up against the window, desperate to get out of China because they hate it. Go there, they don't hate it. Why would the Japanese want such a regulated society? Because it works for them. So we just have to drop our own lens of who is good and who is bad. And I've traveled to, 120 countries. I've lived in several. I'm just very open-minded about different people choose different systems that suits them. But most governments in the end try to help their people, but will also abuse them in the process. And it's just different ways. It's not a big change to you. I think you're fearing the wrong thing. Central bank digital currencies, I think, are a distraction. What is actually happening is you've already got capital controls in the United States. It's hard for a US citizen to move the money around. You can't even get rid of your damn passport. You're stuck in your state. You can't even leave your state. You pay tax everywhere in the world. Nobody else does. I think there's 3 countries in the world that pay tax, that force their citizens to pay tax if they live outside of their country. I don't know what it is, but I would fear the US going to war with China. It's fine to be at economic war. It's fine to be very cautious of another rising power. But if they go to war, the outcome is terrible. That is a much bigger risk than a central bank digital currency. It is, as you said, there's something goes wrong with power that can lead to these outcomes when humans overextend it. And hubris is one of the risks. And that power to control the world, that to me is a bigger risk. There may be another risk. The enemy within, i.e. the country collapses on itself, can happen too. There's a number of ways your leaders can let you down. And you should always be vigilant. So I do agree, but I think the CBDC war was lost a long time ago. The privacy from your government war is not going away because of technology. Because Elon Musk has got, he's putting 40,000 satellites in the sky. Every GPS can see you and everything. So that all went. So you just need to make sure your government is not going to abuse that, because that's when it gets really bad. Not monetary abuse as much as raw abuse of power. My biggest existential threat is do not go to war with China, because that was the outcome for Hitler, for the economic collapse. There are reasons people go to war, and the outcome and the end result is not good. So I'd be worried about more of that stuff. But the US is kind of warmongering like crazy right now. It's against China. And it's okay to not like China's system because it's different to your own. It's okay to feel threatened because China has economic power increasing and that's threatening your system. That's all okay. Just don't go too far.
And thank you for watching all the way to the end of the video today. If you enjoyed it, if you found any value, make sure to hit that like button. And also, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. We love to hear what you guys are thinking. A lot of you guys are really smart and have some really great observations. And then other times we see comments and we're like, what is this guy talking about? But thank you guys for watching all the way to the end again. My name is Aaron from the Bitcoin Bros. I'm out. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.